Mm. Who is Shakur Stevenson? That's the biggest question that most boxing fans are actually trying to figure out. And how do we fix his offensive issues? A lot of people saw him over the weekend, and he got the opportunity to really display a different kind of offense. But let it be known, there's a different title for what he did. And I'm going to explain to you when I ask the question once again, who is Shakur Stevenson? Is he Sweet Pea? Is he formerly known as Super Jab Judah, the nicest southpaw on the side of the Mississippi? Or is he another Floyd Mayweather-esque kind of fighter that is going to always have low output on offense? And Shakur Stevenson has all the ability and opportunity, the real upside to really be a dynamo. But how can we make that happen? Well, today, for those of you who are tuning in to this channel, we're going to show you these few things that Shakur Stevenson can do to really be in more of an offensive fighter. Now, what you've been watching as of late, the past 12 rounds of Shakur Stevenson, is not a more offensive fighter. And I don't mean to step on any toes. I'm going to drive the point home, and then I'm going to actually give you a real visual of what it looks like through this method of training. And then I'm going to show you some tutorials that guys like Shakur Stevenson can implement. And let me be very clear. I am from the actual downline, upline of 𝗟𝗲𝗄𝗏, right? George Benton, Coach Anthony Bradley, and Kenny Adams. I know a little bit about boxing. I've gotten the opportunity to work with Emmanuel Stewart in training camp, Tony Thompson versus Klitschko, and a very, very robust interaction that let things like being with world champions. I got it on my shoulder. And you never forget the time that you are with the giants. And what do you do when you get the information from the giants? You make sure that those who are coming get the opportunity to have it. And so this is why we take the liberty now to explain what guys like Shakur Stevenson can do. And I'm going to tell you one last thing about why Shakur Stevenson is on my spirit. I've been following this young man for a long time, and I know the dynamos in boxing, and I know he got more inside that he wants to display, but he wants to do it on his own terms, and he has to get the experience. He wasn't born a prize fighter. He was born a master boxer, and now he's trying to step outside of his comfort zone to show how well he can be how you guys want him to be. But Shakur, don't you do that. There's a process and a methodology that will allow you to do that. Don't do what Sugar Ray Leonard did to Roberto Duran the first fight and went and got beat up physically. He even admitted this himself, that Roberto Duran hit like his hands had concrete on them. And then Timothy Bradley versus Provolnikov. I can't believe that he was actually bashing Berlanga for getting knocked out. Berlanga showed heart. Berlanga gave you guys everything that you have been asking for your fighters to give you: courage, standing toe to toe, fisticuffs, courage, standing there in the pocket and banging. Then, soon as you get what you asked for, you turn. I want you guys to understand that this is a gentleman's sport. And when you're wearing straps around your waist, you've proved that you're a statesman. So I just want people to really have an understanding of the level of respect that you have to show to your superiors, because if they're gladiators and you not, they're your superior because they are statesmen. It's political. They're going to the front line to do something that you won't. So please just respect the game enough. You can cheer, you can talk, but you have to really realize they make sacrifices that most people don't. It does not make you a less of a person, but it does give you the real time to think about the time that you're witnessing. So turn it into something positive. But Shakur Stevenson has a couple of things that he could do right now, and it'll turn everything. Because you don't want to put yourself in the same position that Timothy Bradley did with Provodnikov. And if you have not seen that fight, Timothy Bradley till this day will tell you there's a couple of points missing because of that fight, trying to prove when he had won that first fight against Manny and everybody said you didn't win, and then he wanted to go and prove himself and went in there and with a sledgehammer. Those Russians don't play, and he hurt himself. He got really, really, really hurt in that fight. A lot of concussions and very concussed. And that was a learning lesson. Don't let people push you into a place. Now, what we will talk about is I'm going to display and show you guys the techniques that Shakur Stevenson can really focus on. And one of these things is the thing that you have to identify Shakur as is he's a defensive fighter. Pernell Whitaker was a defensive fighter, but he worked over there with Georgie Benton and my uncle, right? And what that did to him is it gave him the understanding of how to come out of that defensive mindset. Pernell Whitaker was a dog, but you also have to learn how to display that against guys who are at that same level, and they dogs too, but they naturally punch first mindsets. Trinidad, punch first. De La Hoya, punch first. Guys who punch first, you can't just turn into them. There's a reason why they are punchers and they made it to that level being punchers, is because they've trained themselves to punch first their entire career because that's who they are. Fighters. Mike Tyson, punch first. You can't be that. Jack Dempsey, punch first. Marciano, punch first. Archie Moore, Bernard Hopkins, Sugar Ray Leonard, defense first. Throw a lot of punches after the fact, but they aren't punch first guys. And so what we have to do is realize, Shakur, is that it's okay. Now, here's what I know, because I've been in over 40 camps for titles, and even probably 6 or 7 in the UFC. Behind the scenes, coaching and advising the young and up and coming coaches who are doing their thing. And I'm telling you, it's a process, because sitting beside the greatest brains in boxing, accruing notes and making sure. Let me show you something just so you guys understand this. This is my briefcase, and everybody that knows me, this is what I got in over 50 training camps, and this is half of them. This is about 20, 18 books. I got 30 plus. I didn't play around. When you're in camps with guys like Manny Stewart, you know, the Ray Mercers, the Oliver McCalls, the true killers in the game, you know, just legend after legend in camps, you know, chief sparring partners for Manny Pacquiao for years, not just once or twice. So there's that. But you don't just let that go. You know, having conversations with the great Kenny Adams, by way of my uncle. I'm just listening and on the call and just hearing and getting notes. And I was like literally just in awe, because boxing brings something that you'll never see. It'll bring the science that you'll never get an opportunity to get access to. So here's why I bring you the science. He's a defensive fighter. Why should you expect anything from him? If you don't like defensive fighters, don't watch his fights, because that's who he's going to be. But I'm going to show you exactly how you break that with technique, skills, and process. And this is 4 tiers of learning how to break that mindset. Because once you understand the mechanics of doing it, and that's what it is, wiring your nervous system to the skills that you have. And so I'm going to teach you how to not be on your back foot, because that's what he's doing. He's fighting off of his back foot even when he's defensive. So when he's in a pocket, he's still throwing out of the shell. And if you're going to be an offensive fighter, if you're going to turn your offense on, you don't have to be in the defensive pocket. You can fight. Go look at Sugar Ray Leonard. You can throw a lot of punches and still be defensively responsible. You never seen Sugar Ray Leonard beat up. The only time he had swelling was in the fight with Tommy Hearns, because no one can get away from that jab. That's the only time you seen his eye messed up, and that was a detached retina. So there's that. But the reality is, you can fight and throw combinations. You never seen that dude get hit a lot. Never. No more than what Floyd did. Barely a little more, because Floyd totally defensive. But there's defense, and I'm gonna name the fighters who had defense, but they were offensive minded. James Lights Out Tony would defend and throw 16 piece on you. You got guys who can do that. They will let combinations go. You got Sugar Ray Robinson, who had a sweet defense, but he wasn't there to defend. He was there just to get to you closer. His defense was to get to you closer and hit you with a 4-piece to the belly and then rake you up with 11-piece up top. So this is the difference mindsets. That's what can happen if he takes these drills. Now, this is the method of how you learn to walk on your front foot. And it was really highlighted back in the day with Jersey Joe Walcott. When he walked across the ring and knocked out 𝗬𝗏 𝗵𝗵, he did a grunt walk. Pow, 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 pow. And so I'm going to teach you that. Now, these things are only accessible to the people who are in the school of boxing. But today, I'm going to show you drills that help you build the mechanics to do the same thing guys like Jersey Joe Walcott did, James Lights Out Tony did. All of these great fighters who understood how to do it. And I'm going to also show you the mechanical training to develop flurries. Now, I got this from the school, the science, the guys who wrote the books on boxing. That's where I got it. I don't know where you get your knowledge. I got it from the horse's mouth. I got it from the brains that are on Mount Rushmore. So if you would allow me to give it to you, then that's what I'm about to do. Because if you know anything about boxing, everything you learn, you question it, right? Because it's always something to put that fire out. And now here is what we call the grunt walk. And this is a drill to send our 𝗬𝗏 𝗵𝗏 Volume 2 Southpaws. We're going to add it to our art of sparring because it needs to be in there as well. But the first one is going to be just an exercise that you do to understand the mechanics of shifting weight to fight off of your front foot and methodically walk a fighter down like Canelo does. That's what he uses. That foot, bah, bah, bah. And it's not just doing it, it's understanding the mechanics of it, because walking and not understanding the mechanics and how to put your weight and place it, you're going to get knocked out. So please take a listen and listen to the handsome young man that's actually breaking this thing down for you. This is the grunt walk. The skills that we're going to get into on Monday are severed with the footwork, of course, and that's how we always begin all of our skill drills. So footwork on Monday, we're going to start off with the lateral and forward grunt walk. Step by step, this is how you do it. Walk through it, clinical. Be patient, stay calm, relax, and walk with a fluid motion. Day 1, the grunt walk. When executing the grunt walk, your objective is to keep the body moving in a fluid motion, keeping your head off the line and walking forward, delivering pressure. From that point, your objective is to do it as a unit, making sure everybody has the same algorithm. Now, that was part 1. I just wanted to give you guys a preface how this thing actually works. The mechanics of the grunt walk are really as follow: heel to toe, weight bearer on your heels. As you rotate the body forward, you're squared up, just like you're not supposed to be, because at level 3 of boxing is unconventional methods. You're prize fighting. So the same rules don't apply when you're an amateur boxer. When you get that graduation cap, you are now a prize fighter. And you have to learn how to knuckle up and bite down on your mouthpiece and base your weight to your feet and understand how to transition that power from the ground. And this is number one of learning how to base your feet, plant them to the ground, and keep the weight bared the exact same way you see in Canelo do it. But there are a lot of mechanics that go into that. You just don't start copying and thinking that that's how it happens. Let me explain why. First of all, you don't understand when and when not to do it. And you got to understand how to do it moving in each direction. There are different rules that apply. When people try to do something that they don't have the full playbook to, what you find is highlight reels on ESPN of them getting knocked out or worse. This is why I'm doing this. We cannot afford to let our sport and our athletes get in a situation. So when they know better, they do better. And that's why I'm educating you guys on this. So, number two, the next thing that he has to learn how to really do, because when you learn how to grunt, well, you're gonna start feeling power in your hips that you never felt. I'm explaining what's in your hips. Your gracilis muscles, these are tiny fibers down in between your thighs. And then you have your adductor mangus, which is the bigger thigh muscle on the inside, right between your BALLs. Okay, it's right on the outside of your sacks. And when you have that power feeling it right there, it's like you've been doing wide-legged deadlifts and squats from the ground. You feel that power there. Whereas when you regularly boxing, if you're in the shell, your weight is on your back foot and you can't execute the power that you need unless you're a master like 𝗏𝗏 𝗵𝗲 𝗗𝗏. Oh yeah, my doctor godfather. Yeah, that guy. I wrote a book in honor of him. And I'm going to also give you guys the link to that in this comments in the description. And I want you to take it, and it's for free. I put a countdown clock on it. I think it's like 10 minutes or 5 minutes after the show. You get it. No one else gets it for free. Okay. But real people who want education, they'll go get it. They'll click right in. And soon as this is over, it'll be there. But the countdown clock, it'll stop. But I just want to reward the few people who I know really truly want to know boxing, not just see boxing and copy boxing, but copy and boxing, unless you are just in your room shadow boxing, does not matter. When you have to use it, you can't, because there are 3 levels of learning boxing. And I'm going to break it down because you need to know this, because our channel is education, boxing, science, and everything that goes on in the boxing gym. That's why we talk the business of boxing. But phase one, you have to understand how to get it into your body. And that is the skill that you're developing. Your technique and your skill. See, that's your body. And that's just only one phase. And that's all you guys are chasing. I'll give you guys this book and I'll say, copy everything you see in this book. This is the art of fighting. The rounds you need to spar, how many different drills, scenario, unseen scenario drills that you got to do, swollen eye, get hit low, all these kind of different trainings that you got to do, understanding how to clinch and work, all these different drills. That's what's in that kind of book. I'll give you the whole entire thing. And then I'll say, come to the gym and I want you to spar. I'll give you 2 years to train. And then I'll say, come to the gym and I want to spar with you some guys. And I'm gonna match you up with some guys that's actually in the system. And then you're gonna spar with them and you're gonna learn a lot about yourself. I always did this. I had a really detailed waiver that you had to sign when you felt like you were ready to spar at a high level and all the handcuffs were off and it was you against those guys, yeah, I got a lot of video footage of a lot of people that you guys know. Trust what I'm saying. A lot of people that you guys know. Okay. So when it's all said and done, though, that's phase one. Phase one is getting it into your physical. Now, where's 𝗪𝗧 𝗵𝗲 𝗗𝗏𝗄? Why? Because you have to have someone to translate that into your mind. Switch your mindset when you have doubts. Every fighter has doubts all the time. Mike Tyson was honest and said, I got doubts all the way until I'm inside the ring. The entire time, even when you see me at the weigh-in, and I'm looking at this guy, this is all act. This is all built up and let's just say theater. But the reality is you're in fear, and that's a good thing. But you have to channel that mindset. So, who is the person in your camp that does switch your mindset from that guy to him? You know the saying, him. Well, who's that guy in your camp? Because you need him. Because if you don't have him, if you got guy in your corner, throw more punches. Use that jab. Stop clinching. Go after him. If that's your coach, don't take no more fights until you find a real person that understands communication, mindset shifting. You got to have that guy. You take 12 elite people. They all have different tasks. And if you want to understand that, you need to go to this place. It's called the Coach's Corner. The Coach's Corner. Type it in your phone if you're on your computer. But the Coach's Corner. And you'll see it down in the description. The Coach's Corner. That's where you need to go if you don't understand how to talk in the corner, how to do the finite things that a true cornerman needs to know how to do in order to operate. I've seen the greatest do it right here. And like I said, one looked directly at me and told me, you got to call the shot. See, that's getting baptized by fire. You guys got to understand that that's not something that you play with. You better know what you're doing, and you better have that ability to talk to a fighter in a way that he can only hear you. Not all of the boos and not all of the screaming and not all of the coaches trying to say their words. They got to be clear who is the sensei at that moment. And it's a different person. For some people who train them in the gym, is somebody else. So that's the second part that you have to train. The third thing that you have to realize is that once your mind is in the right place, doesn't matter what he's told you, if your body is not tied into that emotion, and emotions like sad, stressed, anxiety, that's only a symptom that fighters feel. And you've seen it in these guys' eyes during the in between rounds. They're in between the round and they are looking like, holy smoke. You know he's not going to do what the coach is calling for because one, the coach don't know how to call for it. Everybody has a whisperer. The person that whatever they say, you can hear it. And then they have people who just fill in for the whisperer because you didn't take the time to build the team right. I've seen it all the time. And that's how a career ends. But the third thing is if your emotion, which is what's triggered by this last thing. See, your emotions and your anxiety comes from something else. That's why fighters can't answer it. When you're like, what happened? And you're just like, I couldn't throw, like, that's something else. And you know what it's called? It's called your nervous system, neuroplasticity, fight or flight. And you're not hot wired to fight at that level with what you need to do to beat that guy. So if your physical muscle memory is in place, but your mindset is not in place, it doesn't matter. And if your mindset is not neurologically connected to all of those neurons that it need to be, and this is real shit, then you can't perform the thing you need to perform. You can fake it with all of the athleticism, but athleticism can only get you so far. Devin Haney. Athleticism can only get you so far. And then you get to a place where you got to face, are you truly hardwired? Is your nervous system buying this shit? Or have you just been in there doing it so many times that you actually believe that you can do it? But see, you can't fool Mother Nature. Your nervous system is what you are. Beneath all of that athleticism, all of that cocky talk, all of that big chest out stuff, it lies right underneath that. And when you go through it, you know you're in trouble. This is what you call neuroplasticity. And it's nothing to effing play with. And that, my friend, is why you go through these drills. You get through that mindset, and then you understand how to hardwire yourself. So if you don't know how to hardwire yourself, that's exactly why I knew we needed a school, because I know that people don't know how to do that. Hardwiring your nervous system for fighting. Just boxing at the gym, if you don't do anything competitive, boxing triggers the sympathetic nervous system because it calls on so many different things. There's nothing on earth, sport wise, that requires as many things from the brain than boxing. Moving, calculating distance, calculating power, energy output, understanding where to place the feet, understanding where to throw the hooks, how to get your hands back up, bend your knees, sit down in your stance, look between the gloves. All of these demands, knowing spacing, knowing how to move around a bag, throwing punches at a particular pace and a particular power, every angle and every range that you're standing at. If you're just hitting the bag, you will find yourself gassing out inside of 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And that's not your being out of shape. It's your nervous system fried. That's why you gas out in boxing, because it triggers the sympathetic nervous system. And these are things no trainer understands. They came in there to teach you to fight, but this ain't the street. And you can't run, go pick up a stick and hit a dude with a stick during a fight in boxing, because it got rules. And therefore, you're trapped like a cat in the corner. So this is untold science. And that's why we got a playlist. So if you want to watch something that's really going to be enlightening, untold science. Now, I'm going to show you exactly the other thing that he needs to do in order to develop the combinations. Once he's gotten his feet up under him and he's built his base, here's what he can do next. And this is him getting that work, learning exactly the drills that's required for him to throw combinations from the grunt walk. And now this is just a little clip. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. So be patient and check it out. Throw. Hands out in front. One in position. That you want to encourage your fighters to kind of pull back on the pace, kind of just walk in that drill, seeing what it is you need to do. So this is what I want to see. I'm going to execute exactly what I want to see. Hands up, double hooks. Keep you busy. Double hooks. All right. Last round. Let's make it work. Let's fight. Oh, get back to your box. Shoot away Robinson. Combinations. After that last punch, make it. That's what I'm talking about. Spirit. Channel that in. Being great. 30 seconds. Boom. And that, my friend, is the Robinson drill. That is where you learn how to let your hands go in nothing but sixes. That's your low punch, to eights to 12s, and understanding that it's not that serious. You're fighting. That's what you want to do. But you got to have the understanding. You got to have the mechanics. You got to have the mindset. You got to have the algorithm of a fighter. And all three components of boxing, all glued together. That's what we call the AOOF, algorithm of a fighter. So this is understanding how to hardwire a guy to overcome his fears. The shorter guy in the red shirt was getting pop headaches from the other guy because he was being hesitant. And then when he mastered grunt walking and understanding how to hotwire his nervous system, you saw him on him like white on rice, cold on ice, and stink on shit. Okay? That's the difference in a fighter. And man, there are so many great rounds. This, what you just watched, that was the Art of Sparring program. It's down in the link in the description. That is the ultimate fighting program. That, my friend, is what we medaled in the 2020 Olympics. That was Coach Lopez's. Used that. It was a gift, and boom, it worked. The key is understanding how to fight when it counts. This shows people like Shakur Stevenson how to fight when it counts because he understands fighting. But you got to understand how to hardwire your body for that thing because you're missing that thing, that algorithm of a fighter. Because fighting combinations like this, that's not fighting. That's defensive fighting. You're fighting in your defense. You have to fight out of the defense. See, you can be in a shell, but you got to learn how to fight out of the shell, right? You can't live in protection. Understanding how to throw the punches and be where your head needs to be off the line because of how you've been training. That's what these guys went through. So that, my friend, is something. Hopefully, if it's valuable, let me know by leaving a comment and saying, you know, fundamentals or science, because this, my friend, is the science. This is the drawing board. This series is going to have 4 parts to it. The next that we will uncover is my boy Manny going into this fight this weekend. So thanks again. For those of you who want to see that guide, the link is down in the comment boxes, in the description, I mean. And remember, I told you that you can get the Origin of Boxing book, and that will be in the description 5 minutes after this is up and running. You have 5 minutes to get it. And, because we just want to make sure that the people who really want to learn this stuff is learning it, because that's what this channel is for. So with that being said, tomorrow you guys will get little snippets of this and you can rewatch it and stuff. So tell your boys, make sure that you guys are tagging the people that you want to see this with and share it with if you got training buddies, because this is what it is, man. This is what it is in boxing. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, brother. It's all good. And welcome to the channel. And I'm about to take this thing and, like I said, continue to educate you all, because we want to see great fights. We don't want to see any one of these guys get hurt. We want the best for them. So I'm going to make sure that I put the knowledge that I have, I'm going to put it front and center. So be blessed at Godspeed. Thanks again. And comb through that description and let us know what you want to see next, if there's anything particular, because this is going to be a ride that you don't want to miss. Peace.